Hello, hello, hello. Very quick video today. Happy Memorial Day. Not many people are going to be tuning in, so if you watch it on demand or like the replay, well, happy Memorial Day to you too. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Jacob. Two people here. Oh, there's more people in the background, but nobody's jumping in the chat. Just want to go over a couple things because there's a couple potential buy setups today. Trump delaying the June 1st 50% EU tariff till what, July 9th, I think it was, at the request of the EU last night, and we have rallied strong since. So I had to be up anyways. I've got landscapers working in my yard today, redoing all the landscaping. They started last week, so I've been up since 4 a.m. anyways. So, oh boy. All right. Well, we'll go over what's coming up this week. Again, nothing today. It's Memorial Day. Stocks are completely closed. Futures, well, the like S&P, NASDAQ, they close at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. That's when they close. So I'm going to be paying attention to where they close specifically today, and I'll tell you why in a second. But coming up this week, we got some Fed speak tomorrow and durable goods. It's the main stuff Wednesday. We have, I'm sorry, that was, why is this? There we go. Wednesday, we have, boy. All right, we got Kashkari spoke this morning, and he's speaking again tomorrow. Huh. We have the Red Book Richmond Fed. We have the FOMC minutes. Thursday, we have initial continued jobs claims, and we have the GDP price index growth rate for GDP. This is the second quarter estimate. This is the second estimate for Q1. Second estimate for Q1. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Mark. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Memorial Day to you, too. We got PCE prices. That's for the whole quarter. That's coming out Thursday. So Thursday's a pretty big release day. And also remember, since Monday's a holiday, today the EIA numbers for the crude traders are coming out on Thursday. Then we got a bunch of Fed speak. And Friday, we have the more important, the April PCE numbers. Personal income, personal spending, but everything's going to be keying off the PCE numbers for Friday. And then we got consumer sentiment, the final numbers for May. Also remember, good morning, McRangers. Besides saying good morning to McRangers, also remember this is the final trading week of the month. Okay, so this is it. We go into June next week. So we might see some minor window dressing and everything else. So that's what's coming up this week. Again, there's nothing, we don't need to go over any of that because that's still from Friday. Fed watch going in today still as a pause, cut, and cut. So still two cuts. Fear and greed still solidly in greed mode. Schiller PE as of Friday's close 35.64. In terms of earnings this week, again, nothing today. Tomorrow morning, AutoZone. That's when I'll be taking a look at. Nothing tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday, Macy's, Dick's, Abercrombie Fitch. The big one this week, though, NVIDIA. You have Salesforce also. Wednesday after the close is going to be very key. And then your next big one is Costco, Thursday after the close. So Wednesday afternoon really kicks it off because then you get the GDP numbers from Q1 on Thursday and the PCE numbers on Friday. But you got NVIDIA and Costco, Best Buy Thursday morning. And Friday is nothing. Friday is nothing. So, I mean, technically it's something, but not really. All right, what else do we have? What else? Here's what I'm keeping an eye on. So we pulled with the Friday pullback, bottom of the rotation zone, and rotating up this morning. I'm going to be watching how we close in relation to Friday's high. Why? Because that was a technical rotation zone and possibly a % B buy. So that's what I'm paying attention to. Even though it's thinner trading, very lighter trading, I'm paying attention to it because when it was tested even on shortened trading days. Also, we have cycles at the bottom on the daily. All that within context of cycles at the top on the weekly starting to roll over. So really I'm watching to see if we rotate up this week and potentially put us into, remember, we haven't technically checked off the 87.5 rule. We've got very close. I mean, maybe we'll get to that 6K this week. and set up a minor double top with a weekly rolling over and get daily cycles back to the top. Then we'll be at top, and heading down. So that's why I'm watching this week. So that's really key for me. Again, if this holds up, the minor stuff, again, don't do anything silly today. It's very light trading, but I'm going to be watching then how we close in relation to 59.0475 if we follow through, because that will take us to shift the probabilities to possibly retest the 59.64 level. And then I'll, again, what I said, I'd be watching to see if we form a double top. Even if we take that 6K out, technically 599.75 to check off the 87.5 rule, we've then put it in potential double top territory. NASDAQ, same difference watching yesterday or Friday's high. Friday's high for a rotation zone and a percent beat buy. Cycles at the bottom here too. Just paying it. Now this is the one's a little farther away, but the recent high last week was 21,562. The 87.5 rule is 21,680. So that's where we sit right there. Again, NASDAQ cycles, weekly cycles at the top starting to roll over. So we can get another push, possibly setting up a bigger topping pattern to see on the next rollover cycle if we hold key resistance. The Dow also potentially setting up a percent B buy, so I'm keeping an eye on for a potential retest of the 200 this week. Russell, also same difference. Long tail on Friday, lots of little buying pressure on here, but Russell's really been lagging. And it will not form a double top potentially if it does rotate up to get back in this trading range it broke down from last Wednesday. Remember, the last one I'm looking at for bullish plays right now, even though we had a big snapback rally on Friday, is the Russell. VIX dropping back down today. Trading 2037 right now. The DAX still little bounce gap up here, but the DAX still cycles are rolling down. So far, we had the dip on Friday, but overall, with the snapback, this has been a pretty modest sideways correction with cycles rolling over. Now remember, weekly cycles are at the top. So I'm still watching for possible bigger pullback, but Friday's low is going to be key. Notes, nothing to talk about. The yields, though, are they after a pullback on Friday, and still these are elevated, trying to rotate back up today and trying to build a very strong support base down here, which is what I'm going to be keeping an eye on, the bottom of the rotation zone. What else do we have? The dollar index pulling back, putting it in. Now, this may never trigger, but the weekly rotation zone would be out of the way potentially if it did, and we are in potential double bottom territory. And a lot of people are very negative on the dollar. So I'm going to be keeping an eye over this on the next few weeks if it's not invalidated. Okay, but going into tomorrow, I'll be watching today's high for a potential percent B small little bounce play. Crude confirmed a double, but not triggered yet. So 2 days of confirmation, but not triggered. Still watching if we do close below 60.47. Otherwise, it's not been invalidated yet. That's the only thing there. Gold coming up to the top of the channel on Friday, 3364.9, and this closed at 3365.8. So technically, this didn't invalidate the double, but on this, remember the double rules, you didn't move it down yet because of it didn't hit the first target. But based off of this, I'd be watching for this to still push higher and invalidate the double. Also, we had a percent B buy follow through confirm on the weekly and the weekly rotation zone holding, and also the 50 on the daily holding. So I'm going to be watching for gold to retest the short term, this recent high area at least, before rolling over potentially again. Copper, that's another interesting one. I'm going to be watching now for a potential pullback to see if this, with the separating rotation zone, to see if this 475 to 477 area holds, and then a potential breakout higher. What else? Yen, nothing to talk about yet. We'll be watching today's high tomorrow. Euro, uh, technically the double has not been invalidated, but if we do close above 113.82, and that's the final target with the 50 EMA holding, it would be invalidated. The spiders, we don't need to go in today because they're not in any trading. The Qs neither. Bitcoin, pulling back, trying to rotate back up with cycles trying to get up from the bottom and still at the top. So what I'm going to be watching, and we are at some potential exhaustion patterns, but what will be interesting to me is to see if we can get back above 110,658 to set up a potential double top with exhaustion patterns. But it's not there yet. So I'm still watching for the rotation back up, which we're getting today, which we got Friday and today. That's really about it. Let's see, Jacob, I've been curious about the RSI spread between time frames. Wondering if you've ever done any testing on that. What do you mean the RSI spread? I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. But if you can clarify, or just send me an email, Jacob, to support at Pat Trading Partners. Send me an email and clarify what you mean, and we can talk about it this week. I don't want to keep people longer. It's a holiday. You know, I thank you. It was a holiday in the U.S. To everybody else not in the U.S., have a wonderful day. Everybody in the U.S. have a wonderful Memorial Day, and don't sit and fixate. I just have some alerts set up on my computer. Other than that, I'm going to be enjoying the day, and we'll be back. It's going to be a busy, busy end of month week, especially towards the end of the week. So we, got to be ready to go. Difference between the RSI number on the daily versus the weekly. You mean, like, here's my RSI, very overbought. This I will watch, especially when things get to top patterns and then close back down below a little key moving average. That's the way I look at stuff. But when you're saying the spread, I have not done research into, like, all right, this is trading at 68 on the daily, and this is trading at 91 on the weekly. I've not done that kind of stuff, if that's what you mean by spread. What are your thoughts on buying gilts tips versus managing a core ZB position? I don't have a lot of thoughts on that. I'd have to think about that a lot more. So I don't have any comments on that today. I'd actually have to think about that. That's a good question, but I don't have any thoughts I can go into right now. All right, trying to throw me some zingers on Monday. Wow. Well, thank you, Charles. Well, it's this holiday in UK, so get to watch. Well, thank you. I'm glad glad you got to tune in. You're welcome, Jacob. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. All right, thank you, everyone. Again, if you're on holiday today, have a wonderful, wonderful day and enjoy the holiday. If you're not, then just still have a wonderful day and enjoy the not holiday. And I'll see you all back tomorrow. And if you're watching this on replay, thank you for tuning in later. And I hope you do have a wonderful holiday or non-holiday, wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.